under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The prayer today is, O God of creation, you have blessed us with the changing of the seasons. Remind us of the wonder of your creation. Remind us that it is you who give us breath of life. Amen.
Amen.
Jerry, you want to start us out?
Yes, on September 14th for financials, I approved appropriations transfer from JFS to reallocate funds within public assistance for upcoming travel and new phone service, and approved a supplemental from the commissioners and the 2019 capital reserve fund to provide appropriations for encumbrance increases, and encumbrances approved travel requests from Job and Family Services to attend the 2022 County Finance Information System Conference.
Okay.
Thank you. Item number 2, Jerry.
On September 16th, for the Department of Development, Community and Economic, I approved the promotion of Tina Bruning to the position of full-time office coordinator at the rate of $16.88 per hour, effective September 26, 2022, with a 180-day probationary period. And for the Department of Development Building, I granted permission to advertise for the position of full-time permit coordinator. This position will remain posted until.
Thank you. Item number 3, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute the minutes for the meeting of July 12, 2023.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
He still wasn't here for these next 3, so it's up to you whether you want to abstain or go.
Okay, you have to abstain from me.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Item number 4, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute the minutes for the meeting of July 19, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Abstain.
Yes.
Yes. Item number 5, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board approve and execute the minutes for the special meeting of July 21st, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Blair?
Abstain.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes. Morning,
Morning.
Adrian.
Morning.
Morning, sir.
I'm good. How are you all?
You're good.
Today's financials include a supplemental from Community Development in their block grant fund project contracts account for upcoming encumbrances. Among the encumbrances are an increase from the Commissioners to the Geauga Community Improvement Corporation to cover the remaining lease payments for the old JFS building to UH hospitals. A travel request from the Engineer's Office to attend the ODOT NHI Safety Inspection of in-service bridges for professional engineers training class, and a request from the Probate Court to attend the 2022 Ohio Bailiffs and Court Officers Association Fall Conference, and from Transit to attend the 2022 Annual Ohio Public Transit Association Conference, and a contract purchase order from Transit to Reels Auto Sales for a 2014 model year Ford E350 Super Duty bus. And among the vouchers are $1,430,521.96 from the Commissioner's Office to Donnelly's Independent Incorporated for pay requests number 21 and 22 for the new county office building project, and a revenue certification from Water Resources for additional federal grants and penalties to be received in 2022.
Second.
Mr. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
All right.
You got the next 2, Jerry?
So item number 7 is the change order for this building for the snow melt system in the front blocks and the back block. Is that we have to do as part of the project?
The 2 main entrances.
Yes.
Second.
Mr. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
And then item number 8 is the change order for the DAS system, which is the cell phone booster that's going to be provided extra coverage within all 4 buildings.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Moore?
Yes. Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
Morning.
This is my year to renew all our healthcare and wellness. So item number 9, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board to approve and execute the county employee benefit consortium county incorporated SACO participation agreement for the period of January 1, 2023 through December 31, 2025. SACO has continued to go above and beyond the healthcare for our small businesses.
Okay. And was there an increase this year?
Yes, that's the next item.
Okay.
This is just our participation.
Okay,
agreement.
yep,
But the increase was 2.3%.
2.3,
Yeah.
okay.
The average for all Subco was around 3, and the range was from 0 to 10 for all counties.
I think it
We're
was,
right in the middle.
was it last year or the year before we actually went down? Or was that the?
Last year was a 0.6
Point,
increase,
okay.
and
The year before was 10.
Okay. We good?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes. Item number 10.
the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board to approve and execute the Subco Joint County Healthcare Rate Renewal Acceptance for 2023.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Item 11, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board to accept and approve the 2023 Johnson County Subco Anthem Healthcare Plans 1C and 4D, the Anthem RX prescription, and adult deductible renewal plans and rates to be effective January 1st, 2023, and further approve the authorization of the President of the Board to execute the summary of these forms.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Item 12, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board to approve and execute the Anthem Group Life Accidental Death and Dismemberment Insurance Rate Renewal for 2023. This life insurance is a continuation of the
Okay, no changes? No. Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Item 13, the Commissioner's Office is requesting the Board to accept and approve the Subco number 2022-2023 Wellness Program with HealthWorks for Geauga County Employee Health and Wellness beginning October 1st, 2022, for the period of August 13th, 2022 through August 11th of 2023.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
Commissioner DeWort.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for the good news for the
Yeah,
low increase. really.
absolutely. Thanks. Frank, how are you, sir? Good, good.
Hey, nice work on the cell phone system, it's incredibly beneficial.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we have wireless in the building now.
Yeah.
We've been working on that the
Good,
last
good.
few days.
And that'll push out for all cell phone carriers, it should help.
In terms of the wireless or the?
Oh, the cell phone coverage.
Well, it
Yeah.
covers the 4 main carriers, but then what we found is a lot of those those sub carriers use the main carrier's towers as well,
Okay.
so it should cover
Good.
pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all consolidated as well, so.
Good. Thank you for that.
It's
Yeah.
the unfortunate thing about this area down here, it's just the cell phone
It's the
coverage
area.
is spotty.
Yeah, and then big metal building, that's too, probably doesn't help, I don't know.
Did you have that situation at the engineer's office?
No.
You did?
Mhm.
Okay.
It's the whole area over here.
Okay, so we've got the, item number 14? Okay.
Yeah, so 14 is for the hardware, for the actual tokens. These devices here, Jerry has one. Unfortunately, Adrian's not here, but he was our very early on guinea pig with this whole thing. But this is for multi-factor authentication. We're looking at getting past an environment where we just rely on passwords to keep us secure, but also require hardware tokens. This way, individuals who access passwords or credentials to the dark web or other ways don't have the ability of accessing accounts unless the hardware token is present, and then the individual also uses their 4-digit PIN to get access as well. So it's a double layer of security, which is essentially becoming the main way that users are now logging into their systems nationally, globally, multi-factor authentication.
Okay. So this thing you wear around your neck and when it recognizes you when you get to your computer?
So this is the device here. It's a gatekeeper token.
Mhm.
Actually, Christine, you have one.
No, I do not.
Okay.
I do.
You do. Okay. I knew there was at least one other one. I think Kelly Bidlack has one, and maybe Kathy does too.
Nope.
No. Okay. So Adrian.
Kathy, Kelly, and I do not have them. Kelly's doesn't work at all. Kathy and I do not have ports for the token. The only ones that have them are, which Megan's doesn't work right now either. I don't know about Debbie and Adrian and Jim.
Can you still get into your computer?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically, either you use the password or you use multi-factor authentication. We're running on about 100 trial ones right now that we work with Kathy Hostetler to get a cybersecurity grant for. So those are the trial ones we've been using.
Okay, because I was gonna ask you, because I've heard through the grapevine about this, but it was a couple months ago. that
Yeah,
they
we've
started.
been running these for about 90 days now.
And so, so I guess my question is, did we implement these yet, or with this vendor, did we engage this vendor?
Well,
Or this was more of a test?
We're on a trial right now. We purchased 100 with a cybersecurity grant, but the licensing they provided for free until we made our determination on them.
Is expiring?
It's expiring in October.
Okay, yeah, because I know this is, it looks as though this is a supplemental request from the ADP
Correct,
budget,
yes.
correct? Right, so, because I didn't see any ADP approval here yet,
No, those are actually on the ADP agenda for 2 PM today.
today. Okay. Yeah, because typically, I mean, and I think, as far back as I can remember, this board's always supported, I think, 100% of all the initiatives of ADP
Yep.
going forward. And I know there's been a lot of new update and activity in that area, and we've supported that.
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of security, absolutely.
Yeah, and so, I guess that you answered some questions for me then, as far, because I was under the impression that we had already engaged this vendor, and we were already out, took possession of this, and, I felt maybe like we had the cart before the horse, the way I was looking at this paperwork here.
Now, we got 100 tokens with a cybersecurity grant.
Okay,
We sort of dispersed those to the county on a trial basis.
Okay,
Probably
gotcha.
have roughly 100 in play now, and maybe there's a couple that have been held back. So the treasurer's been demoing them, the prosecutor, the auditor, the recorder,
Okay.
some of the townships, ADP, a couple other entities. I think Health has one. Yeah. They have a couple. So we've been sort of trialing them all over, see if they like
okay,
it.
but if, just for example, if we weren't happy with it, we're not obligated yet.
No,
No.
I mean, just on the
Okay.
100 that we purchased.
Okay.
They were $5,000 and we got the cybersecurity.
You got a grant
for
for that,
$5,000.
okay. And then, I see that there's also a license that goes along with this.
Correct. So you have the tokens on one hand and the licensing is separate.
Mhm.
Now, our goal would be the one-time purchase of the tokens, so we would not see that fee again. Individual entities and agencies would then be responsible to purchase tokens for their new employees or damaged ones going forward.
Okay.
We haven't determined how we handle the licensing yet, but we at least wanted to initiate this and move on from there. But they're two separate pieces.
So the one-time payment of $33,450.
Correct.
That's a one-time, what do you think? Maybe we're
Uh,
providing some later, maybe possibly.
Well, I foresee agencies needing to replace their own going forward.
Yeah.
This is to get us all up to speed on the same group with this.
Okay.
And then if somebody needs to purchase one or two here, then I think the engineer's office has already worked on purchasing all of their own.
Okay.
Included in this.
Okay, and then the 33,600 will be an annual.
That will be an annual license, yes.
Okay.
Separate from the hardware.
Okay. That's answers my questions, I guess.
I'm good. I mean, I like the double security.
I'll say the only thing, Board of Elections has been using YubiKeys and different types of multi-factor authentication. They're also demoing these as well. They have to get approved through the Secretary of State and other things. So right now, they're using two different factors, two different types of multi-factor authentication. I guess we'll find out in the future.
Real quick, that just kind of made me think of something. So would this potentially be, was this on the state bid list, this equipment? Were you able to, do you have to go out for request for proposal or quote?
No, we purchased them under the $50,000 threshold.
Well, the total of this whole package, right, or no?
Well, no, the licensing and the hardware tokens were separate with it.
Mhm.
So we don't purchase them together.
Right, but I mean, is that a way to get around it? I mean, not to get around it, I shouldn't say
No, I
that, but I
understand.
mean, just split it up like that. I mean, we could do that with everything theoretically, is just start breaking it up. But I mean, so you're considering this license separate, it's a different
Yes.
item, I guess, or whatever.
Yeah, we have separate quotes.
Is there other vendors out there that provide this type of equipment?
In terms of the gatekeeper device or in terms of multi-factor authentication?
Multi-factor?
Yes, so the other ones we were looking at were YubiKeys.
Okay.
They did not include some of the other things we like about the gatekeeper device.
Okay.
It was more comprehensive and ended up being cheaper, actually.
Because I think typically, even though, on some things we don't have to go out for bid, we still request, make a request for proposals, right? Just so we go through the process, right? Yeah. Okay.
So Christie, most of the ones we have are giving us headaches, some problems? Or do they work?
They installed the software on our computers, and I don't have space on my thin client to handle the token. I don't have enough ports. And so every time I try to open my computer, which the gatekeeper being on there is not allowing the screensaver to actually stay in process. It freezes the screen, which, when I leave at the end of the day, when I walk into the day, the screen is still on, so the monitors are not shutting down. But I have to click out of it every time I log in, so. Because
you
the
said
software's still there, but I don't have the token, so.
Kathy has issues.
Kathy, it's the same way, her laptop doesn't have enough ports, she doesn't have one, and Kelly's has been uninstalled and reinstalled, and it's never worked, so.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
I'm gonna vote no based on, we have other problems before we spend the money.
This is just on number 14, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Commissioner Lennon?
Do you, discussion, are you able to correct, do you know what she's talking about?
I wasn't aware of it, but I
Okay.
do. I think what we would need to just do is get a USB.
I have one, they told me not to use it.
Yeah, we'll figure. We have 100 to play. This is the first couple of decorations. We can figure that out.
Okay. Yeah, I would, hope, I know you guys will get it figured out, right? Okay. I'll vote yes.
Mr. DeBoer?
Yes.
And then I'll make the motion on 15.
Second.
Mr. Stiller?
Same thing. Vote no.
Mr. Lennon?
I'll vote yes.
Mr. DeBoer?
Yes.
And then we'll get that taken care of, right? Okay. Okay.
16.
Right, this was that initial transfer for the Dragos incident response and the SCADA analysis of the wastewater treatment plant department.
Okay. Where are we in that process?
We have them on hold. They provided a preliminary report, which I have here. Sorry, slows down, thank you. So they have a preliminary report they provided, indicating that there are potentially some issues with the PLCs, which is leaving. And then,
What's the PLC? I'm sorry.
so the PLC is the device that, so you have a computer, you have a PLC sort of in between, and then it talks to the valves and the other
Oh, okay.
different pieces of the plant that work. It's the interface that makes the valves and the machines work, the human-machine interface here. So
I think they refer to it program code, logical program.
Okay, okay.
Jerry might be able
Jerry, you know more than us on that.
Okay.
to know more.
So initially, there were communication issues. We think, but we don't know based on the preliminary findings, that it could be to do with the Netgear switch that failed, which we've already replaced. It could be a Windows update issue, we're not sure. But that's the preliminary report from the 50 hours. What we'd like them to do then is assemble a completed one and then present to the board the ultimate findings.
Okay. So I guess this 15 and 16 go hand in hand. It looks like you're asking for an additional, how much have they spent up till now?
We have spent $49,499.
And where did that number come out of? I mean, was that just a coincidence, or are they trying, is that purposely cut up to under $50,000?
We gave them 100 hours max.
Uh-huh.
We were hoping that 100 hours would complete complete that.
Yeah.
It did on the ground stuff, but now we're asking them to come back out and give an overview presentation and a finalized report.
Yeah, for another $25,000. I mean, what are we doing? I mean, this is $75,000 to
Yeah.
go figure out what,
Yeah, and, you know, one of the things we were looking at last year was.
I mean, is everything running correctly now?
I believe so, is that correct, Jerry?
If we've not had any issues
Yeah.
since then,
And so we're gonna spend $75,000.
Well, we've already spent 50,000.
Yeah.
We, ADP has spent that already.
Yeah.
But the 24,000 is to finalize the report and come in for the rest of it.
Yeah.
And then also set ourselves up for a complete SCADA schema in the future, which, you know, we do not have at the moment.
Yeah, I thought that was the idea of reading the paperwork here, that was the idea of the $50,000.
Well, you know, we had a wastewater treatment plant shut down for roughly 48 hours, and we had major concerns as to why that happened, and
Mhm.
ultimately wanted to find a conclusion to that.
I understand. I mean, it's also the 50,000, I believe, I wasn't part of these conversations, but it was proposed early on that water resources it would come out of the water resources budget because it was for the benefit of water resources, is the way I saw it, right?
Right.
But it doesn't seem as though that you've had any interaction with the Stragos as far as, or has water resources been a part of this process with Dragos?
They were down there when Dragos came in.
For that one day?
Their initial, yeah.
2 days.
2 days? Yeah.
Well, to be fair, initially, we had, you know, when Commissioner Dwarick and Jerry and I discussed, we were talking about just transferring the money from the commissioners to do that, and then Jerry came in later on and said, this really does benefit water resources, and it should be water that's paying for it. That was after the fact.
Yeah.
We had sort of already initiated before that.
Right. Because I also heard that, you know, we had, or that the commissioner's supplemental request had come in, you know, earlier in the week, or maybe, a couple of weeks earlier, for about $97,000 for cloud storage. And that money was not used for cloud storage, from what I understand.
It was for 97,000. The total of cloud storage was 116,000. We had already budgeted ADP funding for that, so we were able to move forward with the cloud storage for this year only, and which ended up being about $50,000. So we do
Okay.
have the cloud storage active right now,
Okay.
and then we pulled from that to cover this cost.
Okay. Well, that was a decision, the way I see it, that was a decision made by ADP within their current budget, so, you know, I think and I see the approval process here by ADP to go ahead and make that provided within their budget. And so I'm gonna, my vote is to continue to remain there with that process, so that'll come out of ADP's budget as far as my opinion it should be, but I'm one commissioner. So, I'll make a motion on number 16.
Second?
Mr. Spillier?
No.
Mr. Lennon?
No.
Mr. DeVore?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion carries.
Okay.
Number 17, an additional 25.
17, I'll make a motion on 17.
Second?
Mr. Spillier?
No.
Mr. Lennon?
No.
Mr. DeVore?
Yes.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Hopefully, let me know about the tokens. We can get those things going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get with the people.
Good.
Give you 2 minutes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is a application.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
To approve them submitting the application to the credit union for a credit card for travel for the drug court. What if the credit union approves that card, and once they're issued, then they'll come back to you for approval for use.
So when they come back to us, they'll usually a list of names.
Correct. And the maximum of the
Dollar amount.
So this is just the application.
And that's in, yeah. Second.
Mr. Spillier?
Aye.
Mr. Lennon?
Aye.
Mr. DeVore?
Yes. Morning, Linda.
Number 19 on the agenda is regarding a radio telecommunication tower that's located in the state of 528 in Parkland Township. The county commissioners gave an easement on that property. It's parcel number 25-479,700. And the easement language stipulates that if there's any split, the county commissioners must review it to make sure the split doesn't adversely affect the easement. So it was tabled at the August meeting, and the commissioners had some further review and discussion on it, but now have ultimately decided that it doesn't interfere with the operations that was for the sheriff's department at the last August meeting. So this is just to confirm that.
Great. So the easement goes with the parcel?
Yes.
No matter who owns it or how many times it transfers? Okay.
The discussion that happened was about the county actually just purchasing the parcel, but the way it would have required the property owner to go back and deal with their surveyor, to redo the plat, and get that. And the county would then own 3 acres of land out in Parkland near nothing else, so we would be responsible for maintaining it. But now we have to maintain the area that's right inside the fence at the base of the tower.
And we're good for 10 years?
I think it's 20 years.
It's 10 years to 2030.
Okay.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Mr. Blair? Mr. Lundey?
Yes.
Yes.
Great, thanks a lot, appreciate it.
Morning.
I'm Teresa Rosati, the Director of Geauga County Child Support, and I'm here today for items 2021. This is the approval for our 2 annual child support contracts, the Prosecutor's Office and Common Police Court. They're allowable under Title 4D, Social Security Act, and they permit us to pay for the work both Prosecutor's Office and Common Police magistrates do on behalf of the corporate in Geauga County. Once we do pay the county, we do get a federal reimbursement of 66%. So no cost to the general fund for this. The contracts actually do allow Geauga County Child Support to bring money back to the county to reimburse it.
Super, thank you so much for that.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Just for clarification, it's 20 and 21 together?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Mr. Lundey?
Yes.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Thank you for coming in,
Have a good
appreciate
day.
it, thank you so much.
I have just at the bottom, so you guys can see this was last year to be.
Good.
Alright, 22 is for the bus that you're talking about, last week at Reels. This is to move forward with purchasing it and getting money from the commissioners over to transit. Pay for it about $25,000. $20,084 is for the actual purchase, and the rest of it is for the maintenance to get it up to everything fixed so that we can get it out to the road.
Okay. And again, you went through this thoroughly and you're satisfied with this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I had my mechanic spend about 2 hours looking at it, we brought it over and he put it up on the rack and worked with it.
It sounds like a good deal.
It sounds like a great deal. I mean, I'm sure there's always things that come up, but
Yeah.
everything that we can find is $50,000 should take care of it.
Okay.
Just get it on the road.
So we're gonna put one more bus in your rotation.
One more
so
bus in my
the other buses
rotation,
you
so
have
that-
won't be open for.
Yeah.
Right, the idea is to try to,
Where's the bus at now?
it's at Reels.
Okay,
It's still at Reels, he just allowed us to bring it back and put it up on our rack.
got it.
And so that we can, so the mechanic can actually really look at it versus just looking at it outside. We
Yeah.
actually brought it inside and looked at it for a couple hours and then took it back to him.
Great.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Davis? Yes.
Commissioner Lennon?
Aye.
Mr. Blair?
Yes.
Great.
All right, and number 23 is just to approve the contract with Great Lakes Gutters to install some downspouts and gutters to replace them. We had 3 guys come out, we got 3 different quotes, these guys will be best. Can do what we need, if it's just the gutters that are needed that are starting to fall off the building and are hanging and things, so they'll replace it. So we just wanted to approve the agreement with Great Lakes.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Is that the only thing? I haven't been by that building in a while, but how, is everything else in decent shape or?
Everything is in decent shape. It is aging and starting, so every year we keep putting grants through. This is another one that will be upgraded 80/20, so the ODOT will pay for 80% of that reimbursement. We have to pay for it up front, then we'll get
Right.
reimbursed 80%. So each year we keep putting some stuff. I did some, for next year, I've got some doors and some windows and things, and they're working on the bus wash for a grant. So I'm
Oh, good.
slowly just picking away at all the pieces, parts as I can get grants for them, so that we can get reimbursed at least 80% of the money.
Super. Okay.
in the wintertime, is there ice buildup on any of the gutters?
Yes, that's how we're replacing that, with ice hanging over because the floor away from the building and they're just kind of, that big old ice is down in the winter time. So they're pulling gutters off of the back of the building especially is the worst. So they, we went around the whole building with them, a couple of them are fine. So the grant that we got, we replaced all the, we're going to replace all the ones that are coming off and causing us a problem. The ones that are still fine and attached, we did not do anything with, because we just wondered how much money we get from the grant.
Because it's really not the gutters' fault that it ices up, it has to be with insulation and the design of the ventilation.
No, it's the icing because it's pulling away, so it's not going down in the gutter, it's coming up and over, because the gutter is away from the building, so it's coming down and hanging off of the gutter versus actually running through anything, it's just hanging off the gutters. We have, what did I smell? The wires, so we have the ice melt.
The heating then?
Yeah, the heating things, we put those around to make sure that they all actually heat. But the problem is that the gutters are away from the building. Well, some of the gutters are gone, but the gutters are away from the building. So it's running between everything and
Okay,
making big old icicles.
very good.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Item 24 on the agenda is requesting the board approve a step increase for Brian Moza, our water supervisor, from grade W8 step 2 to grade W8 step 3, total $33.05 per hour, to be effective September 18th, 2022.
Make that motion.
Second, is there something changing in his responsibilities or what?
It's been something that's been due.
Okay.
Steve's just getting caught up on. He's had his annual increases, but this is more of a merit increase based on his work performance and his responsibilities. So it's just true enough for what he's actually doing.
Okay.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Yes.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Item 25 on the agenda is requesting the board approve and execute contract maintenance form number 1 for the engineering agreement with GPD Group for general engineering services for an additional 55 days from September 3rd, 2022 through October 28th, 2022. The original agreement actually had an expiration date in it. There's still contract left on it, and we'd like to ensure that the work that GPD was doing with us, they can complete it.
Okay.
And so that's the intent here, is to modify that contract to close out the open work task items that GPD was performing under that contract.
Very good.
Make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Spillier?
Aye.
Commissioner Warren?
Aye.
Commissioner DeBoer?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nick. Appreciate it.
Item number 26, select a public health.
Hey, guys.
Morning,
How are ya?
Excellent. Good.
Good.
I'm staff had good luck with this thing.
Oh, good.
So,
Okay.
yeah. I think our whole staff is running those now. I'm gonna have it on both TVs, that way you guys can both see it.
Thanks.
See if that one auto starts. Ralph, you might have to figure out where you wanna go. There's not a great option right
Front
now.
row. Front row.
Yeah, it's kind of the best of worst options here. So this is Dan Lark, he's our environmental health director. We also have Amanda Winters, Ashley Winters, sorry, I said Amanda, Ashley Winters. She's one of our sanitarians. And we're gonna talk to you guys about the operation and maintenance program, just so we're all on the same page and the communication kind of flows both ways. So I'll leave it to Dan to go over it.
Yeah, so this is just kind of give everybody an overview of where we're kind of heading over the next few years. It'll be a very large program and affect most of the counties. We want to make sure everybody's aware of what's coming up and can be educated about it and participate or give comments if they'd like to. So this one's kind of small for everybody, but in 2015, Ohio Administrative Code came out with new rules for sewage systems throughout the state of Ohio. So one section says Board of Health need to develop an O&M program, operational maintenance, I'm sorry, I'll try not to use those abbreviations, for every sewage treatment system throughout their jurisdiction. And then no person can actually operate a sewage treatment system without having a valid operational permit. So those were all in the 2015 rules, and actually in the Ohio Revised Code also it is a requirement that the rules actually have operation maintenance. So different types of systems all require different types of maintenance. The main point of the whole program is for everybody to maintain their septic system. It's been documented on lots of several studies that the main cause of failure is people neglecting to do maintenance on their septic systems. So really what we'd like to do is, a big portion of this is education, so we'll be doing a big education push. And our goal is really not to reduce the rate of failure on people's systems. It's a lot cheaper for them to maintain them properly than it is to have to replace them, and our goal is to reduce how many systems we're replacing on a yearly basis due to failure. We'd rather have them maintained and operate good. Helps cheaper for the homeowner, better for us and our water quality throughout the county.
So hopefully avoid any more Berkshire Estates issues. We theoretically can help avoid that.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, this is also an unfunded mandate from the state. So if you look up there's some other fees from surrounding counties. NPDS is the type of system where the homeowner has a small wastewater treatment plant on their property that then discharges out to the ditch. The homeowners have to get an EPA permit. EPA requirement is two service calls a year on the system, plus a yearly sample of the water to make sure it's meeting the standards of the state. So you can see, we have not set those fees yet, but those are just some projections of what we think it may be, and you can see the surrounding county fees there. So we're trying to keep them as low as possible. The goal is to keep it a minimal program as we can, and with low fees. But still do what we have to make sure we have a good program for the residents. So we're currently in the planning stages.
Again, can you turn that back real quick?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So we're proposing non-NPDES, and that's most are non-NPDES.
Yes, yeah. So it's right now the estimate is we have about 33,000 systems or so throughout the county, and right now we're just last count was about 1,800 of them were the NPDSs. So it's probably like a 90-10 or probably higher than that split.
So about a 5-year term for $100.
Yeah. So that way, if we did it $20 a year, we couldn't support it because we'd lose money every year. So by doing it on a 5-year rotation, then that way, we're processing one permit, the inspection reports and stuff like that. So that way, we're trying to, by lumping it, it allows us to be a little more efficient.
Great. Thank you.
And for those who remember the for sale property program that got twilighted just in June, on June 30th, that was returning sold your house, you paid $480 to have that process done, which we were behind on by a significant amount of time. That was a hodgepodge to cover this. Since that time, the state has said that does not cover what this is required. And if we don't meet these requirements, the state would actually take the entire environmental health department from Geauga and give it to someone else. So it is, so we're doing the best we can with as low cost we can, still keep it here local.
Did you get any thank you letters or cards from the realtors when this changed over?
I did get some thank yous in and out of meetings, yes.
And so I will say one of the big complaints that I heard from residents was about we don't care about water quality. But I think this program is more all-encompassing to try to help protect that water quality. Because then we were just hitting houses that they sold, where this one will, good or bad, touch everybody a little bit to make sure they're trying to maintain their septic.
And that'll guarantee an inspection within a 5-year period?
Well, we're not going to do it. We don't want to be in anybody's backyards.
Oh.
So our goal is the homeowner has a private contractor. They can come take a look at their
I
system,
see.
fill out a service report, send us a service report, and that's how we'll track the program.
Because for businesses, it was different, right? I mean, I had, every year, I paid a $80 fee every year at my office, and, I mean, I'm assuming they inspected it. Did they? I don't know.
Yeah, we were all caught up on inspections, so we should be all up to date.
Okay.
Yep, so,
And the perk is most of us get frustrated with the government is when you're the only person you can go to, it's frustrating because you have no other options. With this, and most rely on the private side, where you can go and shop around for your service provider. They can do the work that you agree upon.
I see.
You have the filing fee with us, because you have to file it and show with the state we've done certain things, we've met certain criteria. But this should allow the homeowner to kind of, within reason, pick who they'd like to go with, as long as it's a qualified service provider.
stop us from having to hire a small army, to be honest.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
So you have a database for the qualified contractors that can do this maintenance work?
Yeah, so in the code, they have to be registered and bonded and stuff like that. So we know who they are, we have lists that we hand out to all the residents and that kind of things on our website, so. Okay. All right, cool.
Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. So what we're gonna start with is, really our focus next year will try to start working on those MPDS systems that discharge water right from the tank to a ditch. When you look at it, that's kind of the type of system where if it's not working properly, you're having raw sewage just discharging out into a waterway or ditch or stream or something like that. So our first thing is to go to there because there's already some legal requirements through EPA and stuff like that that will help residents. We'll do some education to help them all comply with their requirements. But those would kind of figure if they're not working right, then you're having the raw sewage discharge. We'd rather make sure everything's going good with those ones first. So just some frequently asked questions. So every household that has a septic system is going to be at some point enrolled in the system. And people have to get a permit. It's required in the ORC, OAC. So everybody in the at some point everybody in the state's got a septic system. Unfortunately, for good or bad, will end up being in a program by their county. This isn't a small process, so with 33,000 or so systems, we're predicting it'll take anywhere from 5 to 10 years to get the entire program rolled out. Some other counties have tried to enroll every system they had in 1 year, right at the outset, and it flamed out pretty good. So we're going to stage it out so that way, we have equal chunks, equal work every year. So if we enroll a fifth of the population every year, then we get a nice spacing of work and can keep up and give good service to the residents. The only time, in the next question is, will you make the replacement system? Well, if they create a public health nuisance, then they have to be repaired or replaced, which is, we have raw sewage coming out someplace, so that's, and then the money that we used is towards the operational costs for us. So, and that'll be every year health departments kind of adjust their fees, go back and look at their cost methodology. So we go through and look at our fees and try to adjust them to actually represent what our actual costs are. So again, not a money maker, but just cover costs. All right, and we'll still, for sale property is still offered as a service. Let's see. Yeah, so just some of the common myths that we hear is, you'll hear us told, but everything needs maintenance. And that's what we're trying to do, is educate people and get them to maintain their system. Every single system needs to do that. About wanting people to put in a new system, we really don't want to have to do that with people because it's expensive, and I think everybody in this room probably, if you got hit with a bill for replacing your septic system, it's a problem. So we want people to just maintain them and get more time out of them. And it's just a mandated unfunded program, so the only way to support the program, unfortunately, is to use fees. And there's my desk phone number and email. If anybody has any questions or wants to discuss anything, more than happy to spend some time with anybody or any organizations for go over that kind of stuff. So.
And we have either the first or second largest number of septic systems in the state for any one county. There's one other county that kind of rivals us, but given that some are not always recorded properly, once we have a full accounting form, we'll know, but we either have the largest amount or second largest amount in the entire state for a single county. So it's a huge undertaking. We've talked to the state about a couple things. I was actually with some of the state people last week, and with Mr. Lark, he's got some experience with operation maintenance, and says actually we should hopefully be able to power through this and make it easy for the constituents.
Do you have any idea of the install dates on, or like, are you able to get an average of like when these were installed and get an idea of the age of these systems in the county?
Usually the data gets pretty sketchy. We start getting into the 70s.
Okay.
So anywhere in the last 30, 40 years, probably pretty good, but before that, anything older is going to be.
So you said we have a roughly like 33,000 estimate. Out of that 33,000, are you able to identify the install dates on those?
Some of them we can. Some of the information here was never really put in their computer systems. It's more paper than anything else, so we're working with that. We do know some areas that probably everyone in this room knows that are just systems that have probably been in place since the 50s and 60s that are probably a problem. The hardest part, Dan and I have been talking about, is some of these might sit on a quarter acre lot and house might be the value of the system. That's a problem.
That there's nothing on record, say individual for an address saying like, okay, yeah, it was installed in '70, but they did a major overhaul in the.
If there's a permit that's been taken out by the last 30 or 40 years, we have
Okay.
record of it.
So maybe, I'm just trying to think, like, can you work backwards and start going after the spots you know are going to be an issue, or?
Yeah. So, yeah, the thing is to get everybody online and get them maintaining the service, and when we see the service reports, if there's issues in locations, then we'll start doing investigations.
Yeah, we're starting with NPDES because it's a smaller batch,
Right.
so we can get the kinks worked out. And then, like you mentioned, we're looking at where the hot pockets, there's just certain areas that
That you know?
there's nothing on record for 30 years, 50 years. That system is not probably still functional with no maintenance after 50 years. Berkshire Estates was a prime example. When one gentleman was here and I asked, when's the last time your system pumped? His wife looked at me and he goes, we haven't. I said, oh, you're new to the house. He goes, yeah, 50 years ago. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
that system is not running more than likely today,
Right.
you know, in a good manner. And that's why that happens. So the goal is to avoid that in the future, where if you take care of it, you know, a couple $100 here and there a year, you're not gonna run into putting in a $50,000 line from a sewage truck.
Well, I like what you're saying. I mean, I think the key to this whole conversation is with the public is the education point of this.
And part of the other part we do, which is kind of behind the scenes on our side, is we do audits of all these service providers, you know, so we can make sure that the homeowner's getting what they're paying for, that these people, what they're reporting and doing for the homeowners is the right thing. So we try to audit them to make sure everybody's providing good service to the homeowners.
And we're gonna work with Jerry. That was one of the big things that him and I and Steve talked about, was education has to be the primary thing for this. I mean, that's the whole crux of this thing, is letting the population know where things are at. So we're gonna do stuff with some of the townships and things like that, do classes they can come into and listen to, train the trustees so that they can answer the questions. That's the goal of communicating with the three of you and with Jerry, is that if someone comes to you and says, hey, I heard about this, you're not like, I don't know what they're doing over there. You guys have an understanding as well.
How do you, I've heard of stories, you know, there's different types of systems out there, and like anything, you know, you get what you pay for, and I've heard, you know, that there's been some over the years that might not be up to par for what we're looking for. How do you, you know, avoid that? Are you gonna be able to, I mean, I don't know if you can mandate it, that they use a certain system, or, yeah.
So it's pretty, the requirements in the code now are pretty strict on
Okay.
what goes in.
Okay, I see.
So there's minimal standards, so everything has to be, so there's gonna be, if it goes in, it's gonna be, whether it's a discharge limit or separation from the water table, so you're not gonna include the water table and stuff like that.
Okay,
So,
all right.
There is one system that we have a lot of problems with that we try to work with to, it's not the best option, because they tend to fail right off the bat.
Right.
And it is approved by the state. It's just.
That's the ones I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a very frustrating situation that we've been dealing with since since September when I started as the administrator. So there's a couple households here that they put in a $22,000 system and it won't pass.
And it fails right away. Yeah.
and those that don't know what we're doing right
Yeah, okay.
So
Okay.
And we are working with the best that we can with our fees to waive things we can for certain ones that line up that we can prove, or that's the reason. Because really the homeowner is the one that got put on a hook for something that,
Yeah.
it's a sketchy road. So we're trying to work with them as much as we can.
I think education is a big part of it.
Agreed.
On, like the transfer of title, the deed and everything. And you guys, like septic system, houses that were built in the last 35, 40 years, you do have records of that. And when that house transfers, do you, I mean, just an idea, throwing it out there, is the new owner, do you guys like send them a letter and say, like, one piece of paper, like, this is the location of your
Yeah,
septic
we
system?
talked to Jerry actually, which is why I mentioned, hello Jerry.
And then mention the top 10 things to think about. With,
Yeah.
you know, welcome to new homeowner, but you do have a septic system. Here it is, and this is the 10 things that you should be concerned about.
Yeah, we're gonna partner with Jerry for some of that so that we can, you know, kind of attack the different angles. And then we're obviously working with Elgar, the Lake Geauga Realtor Association, from that side as well. Because that's where most of we're gonna hear from, right? If you move from Cuyahoga's random example, that you've never had septic in your life, and you move here, which is mostly septic, you're probably gonna hear about it first from a realtor, because we see a lot of people who have no idea they even have a septic. I got these lids in my yard, they're ugly. That's where your poop goes. So you need them. So we're gonna try to work with them to make sure it's doable.
Yeah, just maintenance on your home.
Yep.
The big thing is getting past the misunderstanding that I flush my toilet and it goes away, the septic system works fine.
Yeah, it must be okay.
Yeah.
There's nothing's bubbling up out of the ground.
Yep, that is the general theory. So, yeah, we just want to keep you guys in the loop, that way you're,
Appreciate it.
you know, you guys get some communication going.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in this morning, Dan.
Yeah, thanks guys.
Appreciate it.
Stephen Funk had asked for an executive session for purposes of discussing the pending or imminent litigation.
Okay. Second.
Commissioner Spillier.
Aye.
Commissioner Warren.
Yes.
Commissioner DeBoer.
Yes.
And Jerry, we did get approved for that Parkman contract with OEPA and the governor's office.
Okay.
So we're gonna be helping them drill wells with money from the governor's office and OEPA.
Good.
They
Questions?
went into executive
We're going into
session.
executive session.
Okay.
Everyone have a good rest of the day.
Oh, yeah, thanks.
That was on the agenda.
Wait, don't wait for the issue. Okay. I'm gonna
Put her
do it.
in his spot.
Okay, check the time.
I have you returned at 11:16.
Oh, yeah, sure.
No action.
Ralph left his phone sitting in the desk, so he was trying to catch it.
I gotta go. Let's see if we come back. Off.
Hey, thanks for getting that set up with planning with the website.
Oh, yeah, that worked out
Yeah.
well. Yeah, we're real happy with that.
Yeah, they're able to get in there and adjust that now.
They've had training, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, and
Cool.
Megan too.
Yeah. Good. Very good. Just waiting on what, Jerry? Okay. What time is solid waste start?
1.
There's a grand opening or something in
On the 11th.
Holland?
Yeah.
Yeah, on the 11th.
Yeah, they were one of your recycle grant recipients.
Right.
And so they wanted to make sure.
Okay. Okay.
He's back.
Okay.
Jim, they wanted to ask you.
Yeah, let's go back a little bit. McFarland plant, when it went down
Yeah.
for approximately 48 hours, I just want to express my seriousness of the McFarland plant or any sewer plant stopping operation. Now, what would happen if, and how much would it cost if the McFarland plant was down 96 hours? Would you have to hire trucks and pump the sewage out and then take it to an operating sewer?
Do another wastewater treatment plant, yes.
So,
They did that, they did some of that the day that it went down.
so to me, it's a serious matter that any sewer plant would shut down. And, I mean, if you had to pump out for 2 days, what's the price of that?
I would have to look in and see what we paid for the 24 hours, because we did pump out and haul to the Chagrin Falls plant, they agreed to take our sewage for that period of time. So,
Mostly because of location. I mean, that's in
Yeah.
another county, you know, and
yeah, but we do have the agreement with them where they do treat some of the sewage that comes from Geauga County.
so mutual aid in case something goes wrong at their plant as well.
It'd be the same.
So that's, you know, just want to explain my yes vote, because it's a serious matter at McFarland plant or any other plant to shut down and with this process of mitigate, because we don't want it to happen again. And if it does happen again, why did it happen? And then what steps are we taking to mitigate this so there's not a really, really big expense at any sewer plant from Geauga County?
And to be clear, the plant was never completely down. We were still able to offer them that the air was still flowing. What we were not able to do was remotely control remotely within the plant, not remotely out to, me sitting here. But that we were able to still manually control those valves. We just didn't have the visual on what was occurring when the valves were closed and open.
Okay. Just want to explain my yes vote, so. Anything else, Jerry?
I don't have anything else.
Okay. Public comment. State
Yes,
your name, please.
Tom Jones, Auburn Township. Jim, I couldn't help but notice coming into the building this morning that all the windows on the north side of the building had steam in between the glass, between the inner and outer glass on that thermopane windows. They're leaking. Are you aware of it, and what kind of warranty is there on those?
I did notice that coming in this morning, and I was going to investigate it to see if it was on the outside or in between the glass. Have you had any comments with maintenance on that? Or?
No. I have not heard about that today, but I know there are some panes of glass that we are reviewing for other issues. This would be one of the things that we can look at too, and the warranty is a year.
Okay.
Thanks.
In the back, state your name, please.
Yeah, Dan Demko. 2 quick comments.
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
These are good.
First of all, I want to say something about the DARE program. I've had some experience. I was on a board in Los Angeles County for about 8 years, and we ran the Sheriff's Youth Foundation. We ran an anti-drug program called SANE, Substance Abuse Narcotics Education. And it was in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th grades. And we followed those 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders as they matriculated into junior high and high school. And we found that the amount of drug use by those kids versus the population that didn't get it was significantly lower. And so I want to commend the sheriff and the department for the DARE program, because an ounce of prevention, in this case, is worth a pound of cure.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number 1. Number 2, and speaking of kids, as you know, I'm from Burton, both township and now village, so I get to pay taxes to both places. And pleasure that I'm sure everybody would like to have. But we built this fabulously wonderful new school, covers the K through 12. But unfortunately, what we're finding is that the congestion, both at the beginning of the day and the end of the day, is really, really horrendous. We've had an accident last week. Actually, we had 2. And at some point in time, we're going to have kids get hurt. That's number 1. And there's a way, and since you all own the property that sits right next to the school, i.e. the fairgrounds, which is the logical, there's already a road there. If you had a boulevard, you could enter one way, go in, drop the kids off, come out, as an example. Or come across from Peckham Road into the school district. Problem is, the Fair Board doesn't seem to want to allow that to happen. And I don't know the history on it, but I can tell you that, all the gates are locked, kids can't even walk through there now. And sidewalks, they kind of end at that first gate of the fairgrounds. and Jim, you're familiar with that. So kids can't even walk to school because they'll be on the streets. So I want to encourage the commissioners as landowners to see if we can't put together a solution that would allow the now JED, which controls that, and there's a new governmental operation going on, or has been established for that area. If we couldn't find a way to bring all the parties together and come to a resolution, because somebody is going to get hurt. So again, maybe an ounce of prevention will be worth a pound of cure. So
I was curious, do you know anything about Kent State? I mean, that's on Kent State's, they own all the surrounding property, and they still have a lot of access too. Has anyone explored that option with Kent State as far as putting additional drives in there? Or?
Well, they're building additional parking going on the north side of the property right now. There was an opportunity on the south side where the back end of the county is, or back end of the fairgrounds, to build a parking lot in there, but that was rejected.
On the Kent State property?
No, this would be on the fairgrounds property.
Oh, yeah, no.
On the Kent State property.
I would, research that too, and see if they have some, because, I mean, that's really who they made the deal with on the land there, is Kent State, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The property sits in the township.
Yeah.
And it's on the property of 100 acres. And I don't know exactly how many acres are taken by the school, and now they're building the football field.
Right.
And all of that. So the answer is, I don't know.
Right.
But I will find out.
Okay. I'm just curious. And so where is the football field? It's in the way back?
Yeah, it's straight east.
Yeah.
So.
And I heard they were going to cut a road through the property owner that owned way back.
Yeah, that's
Johnny Motors.
Yeah. Weren't they going to do something there?
Yes, but that, that would be a solution to come in that way.
Right.
But the township has, in their agreement, said you can't annex anything for the next 75,000 years. So I don't know if that is a solution, and one that could be part of the discussion.
Right.
And coming right straight across the fairground, that road's already there, just got paved. And then you can also run a water and sewer that is a continual loop, because right now, the water and sewer goes down to Kent, goes across in, and then back out, so it's not a looped system, which the engineers told me.
Did they ever cut that line across the fairgrounds that they were proposing? We gave them permission to do? No.
No, because the village said no.
The village said no.
Yeah, because Mr. Bonner wanted to tie in to that water line because he wanted to build,
Develop the
property that he was giving to the school district as part of that.
But years ago, we gave permission to put that line.
The conversation was there that you guys had with them about the water line, because the fairgrounds actually was excited about, that possibility.
Having that, yeah, because they were going
And they were going to pay their portion, but
Right.
my understanding was that the school wanted you guys as the county to pay for all of it.
Oh. Yeah.
With the JED, you've got the village and the township, we're going to receive tax dollars from it's income tax, so from the teachers. So that is, there's more, now there's income that could be used, and I've been talking to the board guys, I understand they could apply for some grants if they had permission to use some of that land. But I will look at and ask questions.
Okay, no, that's good to know. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know the JEDs can be very creative. The one in Twinsburg with, I think, Reminderville, they formulated a JED for something for the roads or the parks or something, and then they implemented a portion that there'd be a scholarship fund created through a JED. That would be $1,000 or $2,000 for a couple of kids to go to Kent State University, because it's the only campus in that area. So, maybe the JED could have a allocation, start building up, to put a road in on the property east of the school.
I'll be at that meeting on Thursday.
Okay.
I mean, that's a possible solution. I think, that plus some grants. And I think we gotta get everybody together rather than having some kid get hurt because, in traffic or walking to school.
Right.
I mean, it just can't happen right now. You have to walk on North Cheshire.
Right.
The kids don't walk. They have group drop-offs and pickups. The kids in the village do not walk to the school. They have group pickup and drop-offs within the village for the kids that are in the village.
Right.
Because they can't walk to the school. So the kids have to walk to a pickup location, get on the bus, and at the end of the day, they're dropped off there, and then they have to walk back to their residence. They're not individually dropped off and picked up at their residence.
Well, either way, I agree with you, because I hate to see, normally in the last, 30 or 40 years, gee whiz, that particular intersection all of a sudden gets a traffic light, because there were so many fatalities there. I hate to see one fatality because of the school, egress or ingress, So you're absolutely right.
And one of the drop-off places that Christine was talking about is on 87, Jim, where Barrett Street comes out, where they used to walk over to Carlton that way.
Right.
But the bus stops on 87.
He does by Evergreen as well.
He does, okay.
Yes.
So-
And then actually, one of the bus drivers had told the kids that they needed to walk behind a bus, which is a big no-no.
Yeah,
So
and that-
there's some safety concerns with the outsourcing of how the buses are being handled as well. And it's across the board, there's some concerns there as well, so.
Thank you.
Thanks for your comments. Anybody else? State your name, please.
Yes, Diane Jones, Auburn Township, in reference to specifically number 7, the hydronic snow melt. Okay, so I would be interested in knowing what kind of warranty is provided with that particular system. And it wasn't clarified at the time, but I am interested in that, please.
Usually it's a year on new construction.
Yeah, it's a year on new construction with the contractor, that's a maintenance bond, but I have to look specifically at what the warranty is for that product.
Okay, and come snow then, does that eliminate the need for the maintenance department?
This is only for
aspect?
the entranceways, like the canopy that goes over this main entranceway. The snow will be melted because of this hydraulic system, the water lines inside the concrete. That way, when everybody's getting to work at 7:45 to 8 o'clock, the maintenance isn't there trying to push snow when they're trying to get in the building. So there'll be snow shoveling or whatever on the rest of the sidewalks here, and the parking lot, of course. But we wanted that extra service for our residents, so no one would be slipping and sliding, trying to open up the door.
And the nice thing about it too, I think, is that it cuts down on the salt usage and you're not tracking it through the building as badly too, I mean, you'll still have some salt, you're not gonna avoid it, but I think the idea is to cut down on that.
Okay, and was that a decision that was just made, or has that decision been in the works for quite a while?
Quite a while, at least 9 months to a year. We communicated with Don Lee, and they went up and got bids and quotes and went through the right process, but this is something that
Okay.
the commissioners wanted for safety of people coming in and out of the building.
Okay.
Jim, is that already concrete, and that concrete has to be torn out to put this in?
No, the pipes are already in there.
The pipes are in,
Actually, we
okay.
made the decision in March or April, because they were getting ready to pour the concrete. And so,
Okay.
That's good.
we did it in sequence, what it's supposed to be, so we didn't have to rip out anything. So we did it the right way.
That's good to hear.
That's good. Appreciate knowing that. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Second motion.
Okay.
What time is it?
Yes.